And Australia has more than its share of the best in the world.
Australia. It's not only the world's largest island, but it's surrounded by a formidable number of smaller islands. Tasmania, of course, but way out there, deep in the Indian Ocean, Christmas Island, and far to the south in the sub-Antarctic, Macquarie Island. Now, each of these islands, and there are 20,000 of them in all, have their own unique range of characteristics. Some of them have wildlife found nowhere else in Australia, or cultures that have evolved over hundreds of years.
We're about to explore one Australian island teeming with penguins. Imagine swimming off a tropical island and encountering manta rays feeding on the surface. So friendly, they swim right up to you. And as you're reveling in that experience, a pod of humpback whales moves in ever so close. Those encounters just off the Great Barrier Reef's southernmost coral cay, Lady Elliot Island. Imagine watching koalas in such great numbers, some have to be moved. Sharing a joey's first few seconds out of the pouch. Or witnessing a mother and baby seal reunite after several days apart. All that happens on the wildlife sanctuary of Kangaroo Island. And marvel at a bird that flies backwards. And another that drops from the skies.
Oh, hey, that is absolutely amazing.
That on the stunning volcanic peaks of Lord Howe Island. Islands complex and diverse. Home to an array of creatures on shore and at sea. These are Australia's greatest islands.
On the southernmost tip of the greatest coral reef in the world, the Great Barrier Reef, is this remarkable coral cay. It's Lady Elliot Island, and it's packed with seabirds like these white-capped noddies.
First Light finds hundreds of white-capped noddies roosting on the trees that surround Lady Elliot Island. This is a substantial breeding colony for these members of the tern family. And as the day warms up, they'll head out to sea to fish, returning on dusk. Other birds, such as the egrets, prefer to catch their meals on the exposed coral reefs. But the rarest of birds to be found here are the red-tailed tropic birds. This is the only place in the world where they'll nest at ground level. This pair has just incubated an egg. They're nurturing a fluffy chick, as marine biologist Jenny Fox has discovered.
The red-tailed tropic birds, they're amazing birds. They normally nest on Lord Howe Island and Norfolk Island, so normally cliff face islands. They come to Lady Elliot to breed, so that's the only reason they're on the island. And apart from that, they're a totally oceanic bird. They nest almost all year through. So these are our first two for this season that have come in. The first nesting pair came in 1985. And from that time we've had up to 9 nesting pairs on the island in 1 year. They actually nest only in this section of the island, so in the southeastern corner. The male bird will sit on it for about 2 to 6 days, and then the female will come back and take over the incubation. So they swap along for about 43 days until the chick hatches out. By the time it leaves, the chick is actually larger than the parent birds.
Lady Elliot's real attraction lies just offshore. Jenny's husband, Wayne Fox, is about to take us diving on one of the most pristine coral reefs in the world, one that teems with fish and manta rays and whales.
Here on the Great Barrier Reef, this is classified as a green zone all around Lady Elliot Island. So there is certainly no fishing or anything like that can go on here, no collection of anything whatsoever without permits. In recent times, they made the whole island protected of the waters surrounding the island, and we have seen, once again, an array of fascinating marine life just come into the island and hang here and stay here because they know it's protected. So we're going down into the tubes on the western side of the island here, and down underneath the overhang we've got this cave which is all full of these small cardinal fish. Just absolutely fantastic. Being on the southern tip of the Great Barrier Reef, our water temperature doesn't get to a level where coral bleaching starts to occur. So we're very fortunate here. The coral coverage is absolutely outstanding, and we recently had researchers come here and tell us that our coral coverage is one of the best locations on the Great Barrier Reef for that. This is a big school of big-eyed trevally, and as you can see, they're just spiralling up around, and just absolutely beautiful animals, sort of staying together in a group to make themselves look big, and that's their form of protection once again from predation. It's possible to get in amongst them and have them spiralling around you. Wow, just what an experience. What we're seeing is a cowtail ray with the thickening of the tail. That's how it gets its name. And as you can see, they nestle down in the sand, throw sand over top of them so that they sort of have the camouflage there while they're resting or sleeping on the bottom. The turtles here at Lady Elliot is just so inquisitive, and they were very, very happy to interact with you on a very personal level. You can get right up close to them as we've been doing, and it's just as if there's that connection between the two of you going on. It's very, very special.
We're seeing a couple of green turtles mating on the surface.
That's right, that's right. Really, really interesting how the male is actually getting on top of the female, and the female's actually decided she's had enough. So she's come to the surface to try and get that male off. There's also, if you notice, there's a couple of other males hanging around in the area, because a female will just not mate with one male. She'll mate with a variety of different males in a very short period of time.
Rays on the surface. We thought we were going to get these manta rays below. We've in fact got them on the surface feeding now.
Yes, we do. What we have is we've got a current line running through here, and as you can see, we've got a line of manta rays going into that current with their mouths open, feeding on the plankton on the surface. So the plan is to get on there and experience with it.
Beautiful to watch, very graceful, almost like ballerinas of the deep.
Oh, they really are graceful. In fact, my favourite animal here on the Great Barrier Reef. I just love them because they are so graceful, so smooth, but can be very quick through the ocean as well. It's been determined that we have approximately 40 resident manta rays here in this general area.
Well, these mantas are not necessarily tame or friendly, but they are very inquisitive and allow you to get up very close with them. Some of them will even come in right around you and check you out.
Got a couple of manta rays here that are black all over, on the underside and on the top. And most of them have a white belly because of the camouflage. From underneath, you can't see them close to the surface, and they have a dark top because when you look down from the surface, they sort of blend in with the bottom. So, but yes, we do have a couple that are easily identified by that black underside.
Magnificent! 3 adults. One of them has to be a mother because the calf is on top. They're basking in the sun just off Lady Elliot Island as we're filming the manta ray.
Yeah, we seem to have a mother here with a little calf sitting over her nose, and then 2 other big males hanging around them. It's, wow, what a day.
These big males seem to be showing off, seem to be vying for her attention, slapping the water, spy hopping.
That's right, definitely trying to get the female's attention. But she just doesn't want to have a bar at him, she's just looking after her young. And that young is only newborn, I think no more than a couple of weeks old. So regularly you will see a pod travelling together. Commonly when you see a mother or a female, there will be some males hanging around her for one reason or another. But because it is mating season as well up here as well, not only giving birth but also mating, then that's what the males are doing. just an amazing display they're giving with the peck slaps, the tail slaps, spy hopping. Oh, wow.
Still ahead, catching koalas. And the bird that flies backwards.
This Kangaroo Island is like an ark. So many wild animals, like these kangaroos. Now, when the explorer Matthew Flinders and his sailors first stepped ashore here some 2 centuries ago, they hadn't eaten meat for 3 months. They slaughtered a few and feasted for 3 days. Now, 2 centuries later, there's not only an abundance of these kangaroos, but also of seals, wallabies and koalas.
Kangaroo Island has proved to be a perfect breeding ground for koalas. An abundance of the white eucalyptus leaves to feast on, and an absence of predators like dogs that have annihilated populations in eastern Australia.
What we have here is a descendant of one of the first 18 koalas to be relocated to Kangaroo Island. Now, that was back in the mid-1920s. Well, since then, the population has gone wild. There are now some 26,000 of them, and they're causing a real problem with the trees, eating out the small tips at the top of the gum trees and killing them off.
A kangaroo island stripped of its gum trees is something South Australian authorities are keen to avoid. Wildlife Officer Desley Wisson has been charged with saving both the trees and the koalas.
Desley, now we can see the issue in front of us here. The problem, of course, are these trees that have been pretty badly stripped, high level.
That's right. The koalas tend to chew out the crowns of the trees, and if we let that happen over a long period of time, then the tree actually dies. And it's really clear to see which trees have been eaten by koalas because the inside area of the canopy is totally chewed out. Koalas can't reach down to this part of the branch, so you'll often see really thick foliage on the drooping branches, but then absolutely nothing at the top of the tree.
Nothing special. I think I had a good scratch.
There's one up there now,
Where's that?
up in this tree here.
Okay. That looks to have a red tag in the right ear.
That's right. So that's most likely a female. We always tag the females in the right ear. It helps us identify how successful we've been in catching all the koalas in an area, and also in terms of we don't need to catch that one again to take it for sterilisation. In 2001 we did an island-wide population estimate and came up with between about 22 and 27,000 koalas across the island. They're really good survivors and they just keep breeding and breeding.
So the solution is to either sterilise these koalas or to relocate?
Well, it's actually a combination of both. What we do is relocate koalas from areas where there's a lot of damage and the preferred food trees are present. We catch from about October through to April. We have the best weather conditions for catching at that point. Since October last year, we've had a team of 18 people who go out every day, search for koalas, catch koalas and take them back to the vets for sterilisation. They need to climb as close as possible to where the koala is, and then they put a noose around its neck to stop the koala going higher in the tree, and then wave a flag in front of its nose, and they tend to back away from the flag, and we're able to walk them down the tree, and a person on the ground picks up the animal, puts it in a hessian sack, and then we're able to process it from there.
Are you a koala lover?
I love koalas. They're fascinating animals.
And yet you'll sterilise them and relocate them?
Well, it's a humane solution to a very difficult problem. We actually are very concerned about the welfare of the koalas. We don't catch if it's over 30 degrees because they tend to get a bit heat stressed. The
catchers are trained in koala handling so they can minimise stress on the animals, and we move them back to the vets as quickly as possible. Since the beginning of the program in 1997, there's been about 6,000 koalas sterilised, with about 2,500 sent over to the southeast of South Australia. In this year of the program alone, we've done about 1,600 koalas, with the majority of those being females. Koalas get their sterilisation procedure, and they're immediately put into plastic animal carriers for loading onto a plane. We charter a special plane, takes 40 koalas at a time over to Mount Gambier or some other regional airport that's close to a release site. We have somebody in Mount Gambier who collects those koalas and then transports them to the designated release area. They come straight out of the pet packs, they're placed at the base of a tree, and they're observed until they've climbed up and are happily sitting up in the tree. Well, we have a monitoring program. We have 115 sites set up in different habitats across the island that we go back every year and assess tree condition as well as koala density in those sites. So we can see how many koalas in an area we've already sterilised, what percentage of the population we've been able to sterilise. We can also see if our densities are coming down. But most important of all, we're able to see how the trees are responding to the management. And it's just fantastic to see in those areas where we've done a lot of management, to see these trees just putting on masses and masses of foliage. It's really nice to see that.
When we return, a touching reunion. Other plant life flourishes on Kangaroo Island. Callistemon, Hakea and Melaleuca. Hardy Banksia. Pollinating wattle. But it's down on the coastline that nature's full fury can be seen. The wild seas of the Southern Ocean that constantly batter Kangaroo Island are rolling in from the Antarctic. Coastal fishermen know their power. Below the waves, and another of Kangaroo Island's residents cavort before coming ashore. These are New Zealand fur seals, renowned for their aggression. For starters, they have to fight to get ashore. Once there, the males will challenge one another. For the juvenile males, it's more like play fighting, a chance to develop the skills they'll need one day to protect a harem. Once they have reached maturity, their real fighting prowess can be seen. Breeding males become extremely competitive, fighting to establish territories that can eventually gather up to 16 females. Those females, in turn, are highly protective mothers, spending up to 7 days at a time nursing their pups before returning to the sea to fish. Even more active on Kangaroo Island are the Australian sea lions, a species listed as vulnerable to extinction. These antics may look like play, but they're skills they'll use to escape the great white sharks that patrol these waters. Between the sharks and the sealers, these sea lions have almost been wiped out.
Most Australians, myself included, have never seen an Australian sea lion before today, and that is because on the mainland they've been wiped out. The sealers killed them off last century. Well, here on Kangaroo Island there is a rare colony, 600 in this colony, and we've arrived at a time of pupping. Some 3-4 months ago the mothers pupped, and now we're hearing their vocalisations, mothers and babies calling to each other.
These Australian sea lions are very adept at surfing the waves to shore. The mothers have been out hunting fish for the past 3 days, returning to feed their pups. This pup has been alone for all that time, no food, no drink, and very keen to reunite with its mother. It lets out a mournful cry that only its mother will recognise. Still alone, it checks out every seal it finds. The juvenile males pay no attention. They're too busy jousting. And the massive bulls, always intent on dominating so they can mate, won't even tolerate the juveniles. It's this time of mating that also coincides with the pupping season. Mother, meanwhile, is coming ashore. Unlike other seals, she'll give birth every 18 months. The first sound she'll hear are her youngsters' cries, a call she quickly answers. It's this mutual vocalisation that ensures a quick reunion. And a long overdue feed. From this time on, Mother will encourage a pup to develop its own skills, leading her out to shallow water to learn to swim and fish. Just 1 out of every 3 pups will reach maturity, but those that do may go on to live up to 20 years. Bird life is certainly prolific on Kangaroo Island, from coastal seabirds to the many colourful species found inland, particularly on the island's numerous lagoons. But it's the kangaroos, the very species that have given the island its name, that can be found hidden in scrubland across the island. Local wildlife expert Tim Williams knows where to find them.
Tim, it's a wildlife paradise, this Kangaroo Island.
It is. The Tomo wallabies, the kangaroo, an abundance of koalas, fur seals and sea lions, about 160 bird species, including your little penguins right around the coastline. So yeah, a good balance of habitat, and for the bigger macropods, improved pasture lands with the farms has led to high populations.
Even though there are high populations of this unique subspecies, you still have to work hard to find them in their natural habitat.
Here we go. 2 superb specimens of the Kangaroo Island Western Grey, and there are subspecies of the Western Greys on the mainland, South Australia.
That's right, you can see already they've got the thicker, darker fur, more of a chocolate brown fur, and quite robust shoulders because of the terrain here. It is thought that they may well have become extinct had Europeans not replaced the grassland by farming here.
Now, there are some 20,000 of these roos. You're telling me that from time to time they still need to be culled. They're almost too many of them.
Yeah, particularly around farmland, you've got that combination of a lot of bush and the pasture land and the permanent water around the farmland, so obviously the populations build up to unsustainable numbers. Some farmers reckon they're sacrificing 30 to 40% of their production of their farm just for feeding wildlife.
Here comes a roo. Look at this, Tim. Here is a roo.
Oh, you've got the tail out. You've got a joey's tail hanging out of the pouch.
Now that is something, the first sign of an emerging joey.
First sign for the season, yeah.
And now it's been in the pouch about 4 months, 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
And another week, 2 weeks, and that joey will actually emerge from the pouch totally.
Fall in a tangled heap and gradually sort itself out, but it doesn't take too many trips out of the pouch before they get their act together and get to be pretty nimble. Look into this denser broom bush, and that's where we're likely to get Tomo wallabies hiding, trying to get some sun, but without being able to be taken by wedge-tailed eagles.
I can see one just behind.
Well camouflaged.
This bush here.
It's getting a few rays.
What sort of population are we looking at Tomo wallabies here on Kangaroo
Some
Island?
estimates say up to 500,000 or more.
So no shortage of them.
Certainly no shortage on the island, yeah. Locally very common.
These Tomo wallabies in fact have been wiped out by predators, foxes, over on the mainland.
They're extinct on the mainland due to predation by foxes, plus the fact that their hiding places have been eaten out by rabbits, and also rabbits competing for food, taking a high percentage of the food, so they've just got nowhere to hide. They're in a weakened state, they've become extinct on the mainland due to that fox and rabbit introduction. And the island's well protected from those sort of introductions.
Now the wedge-tailed eagles, of course, have a massive wingspan, just can't get into this sort of foliage, which is the reason they like hiding here.
That's right. What you'll see them doing is swooping over this foliage in the hope of spooking a wallaby out into the open.
The absence of feral pests has also helped echidnas establish a substantial population on Kangaroo Island. They'll use their long snout to burrow for ants. And if threatened, their sharp quills protect them from predators. In the mating season, those quills will be flattened to safeguard their partner. Their ultimate protective measure are their sharp claws that allow them to dig quickly and disappear. The final wildlife spectacle on Kangaroo Island unfolds on dusk when most predators have disappeared. Hundreds of fairy penguins emerging from the sea after a day's fishing. Back on shore, they'll make a trumpet-like cry, calling for a mate. And once partnered, they'll head for the safety of their own burrows. Coming up, the jewel in the South Pacific, and a huge colony of penguins.
Lord Howe Island has been described as the jewel in the South Pacific, and any wonder with dominant volcanic peaks like these, Mount Lynchburg and Mount Gower. We'll climb one of those mountains very shortly in search of some very special birds. But geologists have warned this all will disappear. Within 200,000 years, they say, it'll sink below the waves.
What you're looking at are the peaks of a large underground mountain, fringed by a coral reef, the southernmost in the world, and covered in lush vegetation. Here grow 50 plant species that can be found nowhere else on Earth. And star of the plants, the Kentia palm. Their seeds are harvested by the likes of Jack Schick, one of the island's permanent population of only 300 people.
Okay, that looks like a pretty good bounty for the first pick of the day.
That's a nice little start, Greg.
Trade in the Kentia palms and their seeds has sustained the island economy for well over a century, catering to the fashion of wealthy Europeans who wanted to display exotic plants from distant shores. Of all Lord Howe's colonies, the standout stars are its birds. 5 species of birds here can be found nowhere else on the planet. Lord Howe is the southernmost breeding ground for the masked boobies, while the wedge-tailed shearwaters give a piercing cry at night as they reunite with their chicks. One sanctuary that has assured the survival of several species is the top of Mount Gower. Its cliffs so steep that predators like wild goats and pigs couldn't climb to the top. Today, we're making that same steep climb with local environmentalist Ian Hutton.
Well, Ian, this volcanic remnant that is Mount Gower rises vertically, so there'll be a lot of steep climbing like this all day, eh?
It's the only way to get 875 metres altitude is some steep climbing, that's right.
And any time in between, we're going to try and find some Lord Howe Island woodhen.
That's
And
right.
some Providence petrels, eh? And Ian, these magnificent birds are the red-tailed tropic birds?
Yeah, red-tailed tropic birds. They're breeding around Lord Howe Island during the summer months, and they do this fantastic aerial courtship display where they seem to fly backwards in somersaults over each other.
How on earth are they managing that, to fly backwards like that?
Yeah, well, it's just their flight pattern, I guess, and it's the way that they've evolved over the years. Probably Lord Howe Island has the biggest breeding concentration in the world of this bird. People do come from all over the world to come and see them.
Well, that's a real entree to even greater bird sightings further up. All right, now you reckon we can bring in the Providence petrels here?
Yeah, they're flying around here, and if they've got a territory in this area and we start to make a noise, they'll come down and investigate what's going on.
You have a very special call to bring in these Providence petrels.
It's a call that I can make loud that perhaps sounds a little bit like the petrels, and that's why they come in to investigate it. So we'll give it a go and see what we can get in.
Well, the sky's beginning to fill.
That's right, they're coming in with the sound of this calling, just coming in to see what's going on. If they've got a territory here, they might drop in.
Oh, hey, now that's interesting. This bird has landed. That is absolutely amazing. A wild bird we've got here, Ian.
That's right, they take off from the tree, so you're a big, tall forest. They have to actually climb up a tree using the feet and the bill. There he goes, not at all fazed by that experience. Gliding off there.
Wow. What's this? Let's go right down the...
Someone's come down?
Right down the ground behind us. Tame as, attracted by the noise, and no matter how much noise you make, you get more and more birds.
That's right, they come down and investigate any noise in their territory. They think it's another petrel, and this one would be a teenager, maybe 3 or 4 years old, thinking of breeding maybe next year, so it's been flying around, courtship chasing with other teenagers.
We've not only got this bird here, we've got one just over behind you here, and there are very interesting duels when two birds meet, eh?
That's right. They're very protective of their burrow, and if another petrel comes in to that area, they'll wrestle with it and drive it away.
Okay, now two coming together here. You've got one just in the undergrowth here, and another approaching it.
That's right. They're both eyeing each other off. Something might happen here.
And look at this. Another bird coming through here.
Yeah, look at that. Very vigorously.
Quite a loud noise they emit when they're in this very aggressive phase. Will they fight to the death?
I don't think they'll fight to the death, no. They will scare each other off.
The fighting's taking place all around. There's a fight here, there's a fight over here. Two war at each other over here.
Yeah, all the time.
Encouraging that we've got so many of these birds now, having seen them wiped out on Norfolk Island.
That's right, the area here on Lord Howe Island where they're breeding is protected, as good as a national park area, and these birds will have a very secure future.
Now the wood hen almost became extinct here on Lord Howe, and yet has been saved and got a population up here on the top of Mount Gower.
Well, we're going through their territory. They do respond to noise, so we might just clap a bit and see if we can get some to come in. If they hear a noise in their territory, they come out to scare off the intruder. Okay, got one over here.
This would be a juvenile.
Yeah, this is a young bird. You can tell by the small size and shorter bill, much shorter than adults.
And remarkable story with these birds because the numbers got down to what, 20 or 30?
That's right, in the 1970s there were just 20 or 30 of these birds left in the world. That was due to the effects of predatory animals like pigs and cats on the island.
From those 20 or 30, only 35 years or so ago, what numbers are you up to now?
Around 300 wood hens on the island now, and that number has been static for about 15 years. So now instead of just being on the summit, they're all over the island. It's believed that because the birds are territorial, there are only a certain number of territories on the island, and a population of 300 may be the number that is going to be possible.
All right, well the white terns gather up in these trees.
Yeah, the Norfolk Island pines are their favourite breeding tree. They nest on those big limbs, and they don't actually make a nest, they just tie a horizontal limb and balance the one egg there. But when the chick hatches, the little chick has got such an appetite that both parents have to go out to get food for it. So the chick will sit here by itself when it's about 10 days old. Both parents go, and throughout the day the parents come with food for the chick. They'll just feed those fish one by one to the chick, then fly out again and get more food.
Next, diving the world's southernmost coral reef.
Lord Howe Island has the world's southernmost coral reef, and even so it may be one of the world's last coral reefs, and that's because global warming in the corals further north of here are slowly killing off those coral reefs. The reef here, in fact, is 1,000 kilometres south of the Great Barrier Reef, and even so it has 83 separate hard corals.
Taking us below the waters of Lord Howe will be dive master Lauren Gatherer. Lauren, tell me about the reef around Lord Howe Island. Tell us about swimming and marine life.
We have quite a unique mix of marine life on the island, and that's basically due to we get the Great Eastern Current coming down, so you get the warmer current coming down from up north, and that's bringing down the tropical species and mixing with our temperate. So that's why we have such a diverse range of marine life. We've got close to 90 species of coral around the island, very healthy, bright and colourful, and a great mix of both hard and soft corals.
Turtles are always a real treat, and here's a green turtle.
They are. We have plenty of green turtles around the island. They're not always shy, they'll often come up quite inquisitive and have a look.
Other attractions down under today include the Spanish dancer and a huge school of catfish. Now, these particular catfish would appear to love hanging around below the Lord Howe jetty.
Yes, they're generally found in shallower water. They get together as a defence mechanism. They protect each other and their young in there. They're quite cute fish, but you've always got to watch out for their bars, they are dangerous. Well, it looks quite amazing with the stripes on them, sort of moving around in circles together and mixing in with each other.
Descending now on a beautiful lionfish, the zebra lionfish.
Zebra lionfish.
Which puts on a magnificent display.
It sure does when it's a little bit agitated. Fins are going out and the ends of those fins are poisonous, so we do have to be careful of them.
And look at that, basking on the sand right in front of us. A huge ray. Now this is a bull ray.
A bull ray, that's right. We do find quite a few of them around the island.
But very graceful to watch the ray swim, and magnificent to swim alongside it.
They're beautiful when they're swimming through the water. At times we've seen 5 or 6 of them swimming at once, and they're just amazing to watch.
And we've been greeted by some huge fish here. Fish as big as us.
Yes, the kingfish. We've got massive schools of kingfish at the shore at Ned's Beach, as well as silver drummer and a few trevally. They've been there for years.
Coming now to Ned's Beach, and we're greeted by what appear to be some friendly sharks.
Yes, Galapagos whalers. They are found around the island, also in shallow water, so off the beach at Ned's Beach where we've seen them, they're about 3 or 4, and they do get up to about 2 or 3 metres long. They'll look for smaller fish to eat, they're not very interested in us.
One final spectacle just an hour's boat ride south of Lord Howe, the pinnacle of rock known as Ball's Pyramid. It rises sharply to a height of more than half a kilometre, making it the tallest eroded remnant of an island in the world. Climbers, before they were banned, would take 3 days to get to the top and back. Ahead, Australia's sub-Antarctic island. One final island treasure, midway between Australia and the Antarctic. This is Macquarie Island, the sub-Antarctic home to 4 species of penguins. One of those, the royals, is found nowhere else. At sea, they'll clean themselves by swimming fast on the surface and ruffling their feathers. Once clean, they'll come ashore to join a colony of almost 1 million breeding pairs. Here, mutual preening is widely practiced. Aggressive attacks on other royals are common, even leading to bloodshed. And in the protection of the hinterland, both parents will regurgitate the small crustaceans and lanternfish they've been feasting on to feed their downy-covered chicks. And Australia has more than its share of the best in the world.
Australia. It's not only the world's largest island, but it's surrounded by a formidable number of smaller islands. Tasmania, of course, but way out there, deep in the Indian Ocean, Christmas Island, and far to the south in the sub-Antarctic, Macquarie Island. Now, each of these islands, and there are 20,000 of them in all, have their own unique range of characteristics. Some of them have wildlife found nowhere else in Australia, or cultures that have evolved over hundreds of years.
We're about to explore one Australian island teeming with penguins. Imagine swimming off a tropical island and encountering manta rays feeding on the surface. So friendly, they swim right up to you. And as you're reveling in that experience, a pod of humpback whales moves in ever so close. Those encounters just off the Great Barrier Reef's southernmost coral cay, Lady Elliot Island. Imagine watching koalas in such great numbers, some have to be moved. Sharing a joey's first few seconds out of the pouch. Or witnessing a mother and baby seal reunite after several days apart. All that happens on the wildlife sanctuary of Kangaroo Island. And marvel at a bird that flies backwards. And another that drops from the skies.
Oh, hey, that is absolutely amazing.
That on the stunning volcanic peaks of Lord Howe Island. Islands complex and diverse. Home to an array of creatures on shore. And at sea. These are Australia's greatest islands.
On the southernmost tip of the greatest coral reef in the world, the Great Barrier Reef, is this remarkable coral cay. It's Lady Elliot Island, and it's packed with seabirds like these white-capped noddies.
First Light finds hundreds of white-capped noddies roosting on the trees that surround Lady Elliot Island. This is a substantial breeding colony for these members of the tern family. And as the day warms up, they'll head out to see the fish, returning on dusk. Other birds, such as the egrets, prefer to catch their meals on the exposed coral reefs. But the rarest of birds to be found here are the red-tailed tropic birds. This is the only place in the world where they'll nest at ground level. This pair has just incubated an egg. They're nurturing a fluffy chick, as marine biologist Jenny Fox has discovered.
The red-tailed tropic birds, they're amazing birds. They normally nest on Lord Howe Island and Norfolk Island, so normally cliff face islands. They come to Lady Elliot to breed, so that's the only reason they're on the island. And apart from that, they're a totally oceanic bird. They nest almost all year through. So these are our first two for this season that have come in. The first nesting pair came in 1985. And from that time we've had up to 9 nesting pairs on the island in 1 year. They actually nest only in this section of the island, so on the southeastern corner. The male bird will sit on it for about 2 to 6 days, and then the female will come back and take over the incubation. So they swap along for about 43 days until the chick hatches out. By the time it leaves, the chick is actually larger than the parent birds.
Lady Elliot's real attraction lies just offshore. Jenny's husband, Wayne Fox, is about to take us diving on one of the most pristine coral reefs in the world, one that teems with fish and manta rays and whales.
Here on the Great Barrier Reef, this is classified as a green zone, all around Lady Elliot Island. So there is certainly no fishing or anything like that can go on here, no collection of anything whatsoever without permits. In recent times, they made the whole island protected of the waters surrounding the island, and we have seen, once again, an array of fascinating marine life just come into the island and hang here and stay here because they know it's protected. So we're going down into the tubes on the western side of the island here, and down underneath the overhang we've got this cave which is all full of these small cardinal fish. Just absolutely fantastic. Being on the southern tip of the Great Barrier Reef, our water temperature doesn't get to a level where coral bleaching starts to occur. So we're very fortunate here. The coral coverage is absolutely outstanding, and we recently had researchers come here and tell us that our coral coverage is one of the best locations on the Great Barrier Reef for that. Well, this is a big school of big-eyed trevally, and as you can see they're just spiralling up around, and just absolutely beautiful animals, sort of staying together in a group to make themselves look big, and that's their form of protection once again from predation. It's possible to get in amongst them and have them spiralling around you, and wow, just what an experience. What we're seeing is a cowtail ray with the thickening of the tail. That's how it gets its name. And as you can see, they nestle down in the sand, throw sand over top of them so that they sort of have the camouflage there while they're resting or sleeping on the bottom. The turtles here at Lady Elliot is just so inquisitive, and they're very, very happy to interact with you on a very personal level. You can get right up close to them as we've been doing, and it's just as if there's that connection between the two of you going on. It's very, very special.
We're seeing a couple of green turtles mating on the surface.
That's right. Really, really interesting how the male is actually getting on top of the female, and the female's actually decided she's had enough. So she's come to the surface to try and get that male off. There's also, if you notice, there's a couple of other males hanging around in the area because a female will just not mate with one male. She'll mate with a variety of different males in a very short period of time.
Rays on the surface. We thought we were going to get these manta rays below. We've in fact got them on the surface feeding now.
Yes, we do. What we have is we've got a current line running through here, and as you can see, we've got a line of manta rays going into that current with their mouths open, feeding on the plankton on the surface. So the plan is to get on there and experience with it.
Beautiful to watch, very graceful, almost like ballerinas of the deep.
Oh, they really are graceful. In fact, my favourite animal here on the Great Barrier Reef. I just love them because they are so graceful, so smooth, but can be very quick through the ocean as well. It's been